Hello YouTubers, Tommy here from Overland Transportation System with the 7th installment of building my shelf layout. It's been a few weeks since I've done an update, so let's turn the camera around and get right to it. Okay, so as we can see, I now have installed 3 layers of, they call it 1-inch foam, but it's not really a full inch. I've stacked 3 layers of blue foam on the layout all the way around so that when I start making my bridges and landscape features, I have some relief to cut into, so it's a little more believable as far as depth in the scenery for ravines and whatnot. Okay, so there we have the 3 layers, and I'm going to take you over to the track plan on the wall, and we'll discuss what we got going on the layout. Okay, so here's the track plan that I plan to do. If you haven't seen the earlier videos, it's a shelf layout 20 inches wide on 3 walls around the room, and the first wall is 11 foot 8 where the yard area is. The long bay window area is 16 foot 8, and the short wall is 5 foot 6, 20 inches wide, and it goes to 33 on the blob there at the end of the peninsula. We're going to go with N scale in the center for an island layout. I originally talked about possibly making a double deck with N over top of the HO, and I've gone back to my original plan of an island layout for N, and I raised the HO up to mid-chest level, and so it looks like that is probably what I'm going to go with. I'm using Seaboard Airline for this layout. 3 4-axle diesels. I don't plan to use any big power on this. This yard, which I'm calling Magnolia Yard, is the first bit of trackage that I've been working on. And this is just going to be a simple switch layout, which will generate some logs out of Jax, Florida, coming down into the yard, and over here represents going to Tampa. And on the far right hand side we have a sawmill, which I actually plan to do actual logs on and off, and flat cars of lumber coming out, and actually move product on and off the train cars. So up here presently we have Florida Furniture and Ocala Foods, and that could subject to change, but right now that's what we're going to go with. So the first part of the track that I've been working on is from the turnout of the yard throat down to the end of the main. So let me turn the camera around and show you that bit of trackage. Okay, we're back. All right, the tools that I use doing my track are the Xuron rail nippers to snip the track to length, file for deburring the joints, a small flat tip screwdriver to push the rail joiners around, rosin flux, rosin core solder, a tip cleaning station with the coiled brass for cleaning the tip of the solder iron, and I use a little tin with a solder ball in it to re-tin the iron once I'm all done. I use a pencil tip solder iron that goes to 450 degrees. I got it set about 400. It gives me a nice quick solder joint without transferring too much heat down the rail and melting the ties. I'm using Atlas Code 100 track with Pico Insel Frog turnouts, number 4 and 6s, mostly 4 here in the yard. I use insulated rail joiners on all the diverging routes with the Insel Frogs. They suggest this on the packages when you're using DCC. They suggest Insel joiners, so I use them on the diverging routes, and I'll just power the straights coming off of the diverging route and the straights coming into and exiting the turnouts. On my solder joints, I just solder on the straight track alone. I don't put any solder on any of the turnouts. See, I use a steel straight edge in my turnouts where I got a straight piece, so I keep things nice and straight there. I also use a yardstick and a ruler to keep my straight runs as straight as possible. We'll come down here and take a glance down. You can see they're pretty straight. So what I'm going to do next is I will put some craft paper underneath this whole section, and I'll trace out what I've got. I'll put that up on top of the layout, and then I'll have some reference marks where the track is going to actually go. Then I'll know where I can glue down my cork and paint the cork and the blue foam brown base color, and then put the track up on there and drill for my feeder wires. And so that will be the next installment. So until then, I'll see you later, and happy railroading. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.